All right, Matt, I apologize for getting so delayed on this video. Of course, obviously, as you know, I moved into college, so I've been dealing with all that, getting situated with classes. So that's kind of what I've been up to. That's kind of why the video's been delayed. But now I finally am settled in, got some time to work with this. So now I'm going to break down kind of just in general your pitches and what we're working with. So the first pitch, I believe, is going to be the two-seam fastball here. I'll just let it play for a second and just kind of see what you can see. All right, so let's break down this really, really quickly, okay? So if we're looking from where the ball comes out, right, we're keeping same tenacity right here where release point's here, which we want to keep all the way around because think about it also from your hitting standpoint, right? If you're hitting and you notice that one's there and one's down here and there's one that's all the way out here and one's over here, you're going to be able to pick up each different one out of the hand and you're going to know what pitch this is. So let's just say this is a four seam, this is a two seam, this is a changeup, and this is a curveball here. You're going to be able to pick up whatever's being thrown. So now we get into the pitch in general. So we see whenever it's being thrown, see how it goes down and in? So if I were to track the ball here, so let me, first of all, let's get the release point. There's our release point. Release point. So that ball is coming to here, and it's got that downward tail to it. If I were to put, so it's really hard with this angle, and I wish honestly, and what I'll do at SFT is I'll have it behind me versus right here so that you could see what I'm talking about, because in the video it's a little bit harder, but I'll kind of try to, let's see here, what can I do? I know what I could do here. So this is going to be the initial line here of where this ball is coming in. So that's where it starts, and then it breaks off here and goes in. So again, I'm just going to show you what I mean here. Let's see if we can get it into a fourth of a time frame here. Just watch what it does. Gets to here, and it starts to tail down and in. So that is what your two-seam is doing. Now we're going to get to your four-seam fastball here, and I'll re-speed it up. And this is just to watch and see what it does. So again, think about the four-seam fastball, and I'll then replay it back here. As you can see, same arm slot and same release point right there. Similar to what we're doing with the two-seam. And this one, if I'm to slow it down to half the speed, it's very, very straight. Has a little bit of drop to it, which means that we're getting over top of it, which is fine. Especially for your age, there's going to be a little bit of drop off at the end just because velocity doesn't take it the full way, which is perfectly fine. So the older you get, the more that'll straighten up at the end. So the four seam is working how we want it to. Now we go on to, believe this was the curveball here. I want to say this is the curveball, and which it is. So now, first things first, release point, little bit more out towards the side, but that's honestly fine. Honestly, I have no problem with that because it's a very slight difference. It's not a major difference, so we can work with that. That's perfectly fine, especially for your age. Now, if I'm going to slow it down to half the speed, watch what it's doing here. You'll be able to see the spin on it, and it just starts. It starts, if I can get it, it gets here and then starts to break down about right there. So about halfway to the plate is where it starts to break down And that's honestly a really, really solid curveball there, Matt. It's a sweeping curveball. And who has a really good sweeping curveball is Cole Hamels. That's who I always refer to for a sweeping curveball. So that's good. So that's really good. Now, even though it has the sweep action, if you notice, if I were to put a line right here, it's still going 12-6, which is really good for our curveball. We wanted to go 12-6. So there's our curveball, okay? Now we're going to go to, I believe the slider is next after this. Yep, this is going to be our slider. Or no, that's our changeup. I apologize. That's actually the changeup. Slider's the last one. I forgot about that. So, again, we get to here. Same release point as the 4-seam and the 2-seam. Now that, if you're wondering where your, here, let me make a smaller circle so that makes more sense. And your curveball is more right here. So it's a little bit, it's actually probably, it's realistically probably more on like this line right there. But very, very small difference. Now, the older we get, the more we want to make sure that we get it more in line with it. But otherwise, it's completely fine. So let's replay it again, just seeing kind of the arm action that happens. Goes down and in, tails down and in. So again, we get to there, and then we're going to slow it down right here to half the speed. And as you can see, that is a textbook change up there. I want to replay that one more time because that is a great change up there, Matt. Because, and especially what I noticed catching, and you can ask your dad about this too, really good difference in velocity too. You really want about a 5 to 7 mile an hour difference on your fastball to changeup, and both of them have it. So we're perfect there. If I could put a check mark across it, I would. Actually, you know what? I could. Give me 1 second. Boom. Check mark right there. We're good. Okay. So then just watching it again. So we release it there, and then it starts to tail down and in. Right there. Now, if I'm set up better, keep in mind I'm also a pitcher, so I'm not a great catcher/framer. And also, I'm not wearing a cup, so I got to make sure that I'm good there too. I would frame that, and that would be right here on this outside part of the plate, right there. So that's a great pitch there and a great strike pitch as well. You might be asking yourself about this part right here. Might be asking yourself, or actually, wait, what'd I do here? Oh, shoot. I didn't put the slider in. Crap. Well, that's awkward. I didn't put the slider in. So, wait, or did I? Oh, I know what I did. I mislabeled them. This is your changeup, and then this is your, yeah, that's your slider. Why did I label? I don't even know why. As you can see, I've been trying to get these together. I put this together last week in a rush, so that's why. Okay, that makes more sense. So, just, let me see. Can I actually, hang on. Get rid of that changeup there. It's not a changeup. This is your slider. So I'm going to put this at regular speed and just let you see it. Okay, so other than the fact that that is a slider, same release point on both the curveball and the slider there. You're a lot more out here versus you're more up here for your fastball, which, like I've said multiple times in this video, not a big deal, but that's something we could keep working on. And maybe, honestly, we could do that next time and kind of just make sure that we're going out of the same arm slot. Other than that, just kind of looking at the movement here, this is more of like a sweeping action. So starts there, and like you said before, this is kind of the pitch that you've really been trying to work on a lot, is that slider, which we can really hone in on. Because the biggest thing is we want to get both behind the ball and around the ball. But if you remember what I said in the lesson, we don't want to get it around it to the point of where we're frisbeeing it, and we don't want to get behind it like we're throwing a fastball. So that is what I mean there. So we don't want to be here, but we also don't want to be here. We want to be right here with our slider, if that makes any sense. So imagine this line right here is the fastball line. This is your frisbee line. You want to meet the happy medium in there for that. And again, just looking at it, so we get to there, it's starting here, and then it's starting to break down and out. You see that little bit there? If I replay it again, you're going to see just a little bit of a break there at the very last second. So it's got late movement, which is fine. Now, I will say there's a complete difference. I do want to say, so look where your body finishes there, where it finishes on your changeup. So we got changeup there, where you finish on your curveball or your four seam, finish there. Where you finish on your two-seam fastball. So two-seam fastball, you stay straight away. Four-seam fastball, you finish like Bob Gibson. Curveball, you finish middle, like the two-seam. Changeup, you finish to the side like Bob Gibson. And then with the slider, you finish down the middle. So that's going to also be something we need to work on or really kind of refine, because you've been really good about that, but now noticing that part, that's something we need to do. Because I don't care if you finish like this or even like this. What matters is we're repeatedly doing this. And another thing too, because there's some pitches you do it a lot better than. Actually, now I'm noticing it. We have been lacking with it. Okay, that's something we can work on. Because I didn't even notice that in this lesson, is where this glove is. That's also why you're opening up a little bit too soon, and where we could probably get some more velo is when we get to here, we need to bring this into our chest right here like that and keep it there instead of having it come across us. And even like if we could see our arm there, we should be able to see our arm there, but of course it should be tucked in. And not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, we'll go into that a little bit more and kind of talk about specifically on the finish where we need to be. Because that honestly makes sense. That could make sense with some things. Because I've noticed sometimes in your bullpens, and I think you noticed too, where you're finishing like that because it's a sudden pull towards that side. Because if we're keeping our glove in our chest, we're still going towards the plate. Versus this, we're now starting to, at the last second right here, at release point, see we're going towards the plate, and then we start to slightly pull ourselves, and that's going to change the direction of the ball just by a smidge. So that's something we're working work on. The arm angle we'll work on next time as well. And then obviously finding the happy medium in that slider. But other than that, great job, Matt. Keep it up. And keep being awesome, and we'll talk next time during your next lesson.